Baylor is back. Not really. They beat Kansas, but they've won 3 times as many games as they've won last year, so that's an up. Just thought I'd throw in a little joke in there. And it's about Baylor, so why not? But power rankings, you know how it goes. 10 teams, 1 to 10. I'll tell you how they moved from last week. And only one team stayed the same. So let's just jump right in this thing. Kansas. After such a hot start, they went up to 7th on my list. They dropped to 10th. An ugly loss at Baylor, 26-7. Just not a good day for the Jayhawks. So, yeah, I don't think I need to talk about Kansas anymore. K-State, oh gosh. The Kansas schools just had a rough week, okay? Kansas State went to West Virginia. They couldn't even, as Bill Snyder, what was the quote that Bill Snyder said? I think it was like, I can't even coach a team to get a few inches or something. It was an ugly game. They couldn't even get a fourth and like an inch. They only scored 6 points. They were playing against West Virginia at West Virginia, but still only 6 points, and they allowed 35. But not a good day for Kansas State. They come back home. Well, they go back to their home, Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, to play Texas this week. And number 8, Iowa State. Iowa State didn't exactly have the prettiest of victories, but they did give Akron their first loss, so good for them. It was a non-conference game, didn't really matter as much. Last week they played the first conference game against Oklahoma, and they lost that game 37-27. They played them tough, but good game for Iowa State. Good for them to get a win. They need a win. They need some confidence going into the continuous conference play. At number 7, we got the team that beat Kansas, Baylor. Baylor had a nice home victory against Kansas to win their 3rd game in their first 4. So they're now 3-1, 1-0 in conference play, and it could go downhill from here for Baylor. It starts off rough. Their next game, they play at Oklahoma. That will be a tough game for them. It's going to be really hard for them to pull off the upset there. But even if they could keep it close, I think that's a good game for them. In Norman, that's going to be a tough game for them. Man, Baylor, what you doing there? 6, got Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they did not play well. They allowed 41 points to Texas Tech, and they only scored 17 at home. They dropped out of the top 25. I talked about more. I think they should still be in the top 25. I will put that at the end of the video up here somewhere about my top 25 and my reaction / adjustments to it. So, yeah. But Oklahoma State, I think they were punished a little bit too much for this loss. I mean, if they lost to someone like Kansas, yeah, they deserve to drop out of the top 25. They lose to Old Dominion. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, Virginia Tech. Yeah, I'm talking to you. But Texas Tech is still a pretty talented team. I didn't think Texas Tech's defense would be up to the test, considering how they performed last week against Houston, allowing 49 points and then allowing 47 to Ole Miss. They did shut out Lamar, but as I've said, that's Lamar. That's not really an impressive team. But they held up. They didn't let Justice Hill go off or anything, which was nice of them. He had 110 yards, I think, 112 yards and a touchdown maybe. But, that Oklahoma State just was not able to score, and that ended up hurting them because their defense on the other end was not able to hold their end of the deal. They allowed Texas Tech to score a lot. But, yeah, now we're going to go into the top 5. As I've said in other videos, you deserve to be punished for a loss, so you deserve to drop a couple spots or even just one spot, depending on who you lose to, 1 or 2 spots. So TCU, I did not punish them as much as Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, I dropped them 3 spots. TCU, I only dropped them 1 spot. Oklahoma State, I dropped them 3 spots to 6 because they lost at home and they lost by 24 points. The reason I only dropped TCU 1 spot is because it was on the road. They were coming off of a loss already to a pretty good team. But on the road, after a loss already, and Oklahoma State had that pretty solid win over Boise State. So TCU was already kind of like, man, we just lost. It sucks. But I don't think they were going to this game like, oh, we're going to lose again. I think they legitimately had hope. So, I mean, it's not like they were expecting it to lose 31-16, but I dropped them to 5 just because of that loss. Obviously, their offense struggled. Turnovers, I think they had 3 or 4. Turpin, they ran a trick play kind of thing. Turpin threw it downfield, threw an interception. Sean Robinson, he had he had 2 interceptions, and then he had a fumble. So 4 turnovers. TCU's offense needs to get it together. That's cost them multiple games now. The Ohio State game, they allowed 2 scores from turnovers, and this past week they had 4 turnovers, which ended up being costly to them. So TCU needs to get it together on offense, and they need to obviously score the ball, but they need to hold the ball and actually keep the ball in their possession before losing it. So, yeah. Number 4, I got Texas. Texas, a very solid victory against TCU. Speaking of turnovers, they forced 4 of them. 3 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. They also posted up 31 points. Solid. One of the turnovers put them in very good field position, looked like at the 1-yard line, 2-yard line, so they were able to score off that on the first play. They had some really good offensive possessions. Colin Johnson had some incredible catches. Lil Jordan Humphrey had some nice catches. Just the way the offense is playing, it's improving from last year, which is good, and the defense is looking solid. So I'll talk about this more in my preview later this week, but Texas got these next 2 games. I think these are the 2 big tests, and then are they back? Are they back? I think these next 2 weeks are the biggest test for Texas. Number 3, I had to drop them a spot after that game. Oklahoma. Man, they won against Army, yes, but they won 28-21 in Norman. The defense, yes, I understand it's very difficult to defend that triple option that Army runs. And Army did have the ball for 45 minutes. But 28 points from that offense with those weapons and that explosiveness, I mean, they could have had more. But at the 1-yard line, they decided to go for it late, and they failed. And then Army burned 10 minutes or more off the clock in the 4th quarter to get all the way down, throw interception. So Army's issue was that they threw it 7 times in the game, and 2 of those were interceptions, 1 in overtime, 1 in the 4th quarter with 2 minutes to go. So that, obviously, they only run it. But they had to throw in situations. One was a 4th and 7 game on the line. They literally had to get the first down or they lose. Then the other one was a 3rd and 14 at like the 40 or something, so they had to get some type of yardage to get into field goal range to take the lead. But, man, Oklahoma, they're better than that. I know they're better than that. They can score more than that. They just did not play to their best abilities, and I think they will pick it up and they'll beat Baylor this week by a wide margin. But number 2, the biggest mover on the charts this week, Texas Tech. Impressive victory. Very impressive. Let me get these numbers up here. They're pretty big win over Oklahoma State. I already talked about that. But Bowman, 397 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did have 2 interceptions. But 35 from 46 isn't bad. 2 interceptions obviously sucks. But Texas Tech found a ground game too, along with the air raid. So that's scary for a defense when Texas Tech's got a quarterback who could throw almost 400 yards a game. And then they got a guy running 130 yards for 2 touchdowns, averaging 9 yards a carry on 14 carries. Then they also have 2 other guys who went above 50 yards. That's not bad, wouldn't you say? So Texas Tech, their offense did really good. They only allowed Oklahoma State to score 17 points at home. Texas Tech looked really good this week, and I think they're going to give number 1 West Virginia. Spoiler alert, number 1's West Virginia. I think they're going to give them a really tough game in Lubbock. That crowd's probably going to be crazy in Lubbock, throwing those tortillas. But that's going to be a good game. It should be an offensive throwdown. Will Greer versus Alan Bowman. Now you got Felton, Henry, Thompson as their running backs. If they can get some yardage, running yards, if they can really kind of throw West Virginia's defense off, like, are we going to throw? Are we going to run? You don't know. But that would be really interesting to see. And the West Virginia, as I talked about, they had their dominant win over K-State. So that's where that stands. But thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, like it. That'd be awesome. Make me happy. If you want to see the top 25 I was talking about earlier, here you go. If you want to see another video I've made recently, I don't know how recently, but here you go. Somewhere right here. And if you would like to subscribe to the channel, just click on my face. Just click on it. Click on my face. Thank you for watching.